Have you ever woken up, sat on the edge of the bed, and just stared at the floor? Maybe the room is quiet, the house still, and for a moment you wonder, what now? What will today bring? At some point after 60 mornings begin to carry a different kind of weight, not heavy in a painful way, but in a quiet, reflective way. A moment where we ask, is there more joy left for me? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is. But here's something most people don't tell. Your joy doesn't always knock on your door. Sometimes you have to invite it in, and that invitation starts with the words you say to yourself. You see, our mornings are more than a cup of coffee or the gentle rustle of the newspaper. They're where our entire day begins. Not just physically, but emotionally. And after 60, that emotional tone matters more than ever. Our bodies may have a few more aches, and our calendars may be quieter than they used to be, but our hearts still long to feel alive. So today, I want to share something gentle but powerful, 6 short phrases you can whisper to yourself each morning. 6 simple truths that can help you open the door to more joy, more meaning, and a softer kind of strength. And before we dive in, if this sounds like something your heart needs, please subscribe to our channel and tap the notification bell. It helps you stay connected to the life-changing topics we share here. And truly, thank you. Every like, every comment, every share it helps us build a circle of wisdom and support, where no one feels invisible. If anything we say touches you today, let us know in the comments. Or tell us what you say to yourself in the mornings. We'd love to learn from you. All right, let's start with the first quiet phrase. I'm still becoming who I'm meant to be. Just sit with that for a moment. After 60, many people think the script is finished, that the rest of life is just coasting or watching the world from the sidelines. But your story is not over. You are still evolving, still becoming. Your wisdom is deepening, your patience is stronger, and your soul, it's still growing towards something beautiful. It's easy to feel like you've already done your part. Raised the kids, built the career, paid the bills, said the goodbyes. But when you say this to yourself, I'm still becoming who I'm meant to be, you're giving yourself permission to bloom again, to try new things, to say yes to something surprising, to forgive something old. You're letting your heart stretch, not shrink. Which brings us to the second phrase. And this one is just as important. My pace is perfect for me. We live in a world that glorifies speed. But after 60, your rhythm changes. You walk a little slower, you choose more carefully. You notice more things along the way. And that's not a weakness. That's wisdom. Sometimes people around you move faster, they talk fast, eat fast, rush through the day. And it's easy to feel like you're behind, but you're not. Behind, you're aligned. When you remind yourself, my pace is perfect for me, you take your power back. You stop measuring your life with someone else's ruler. Whether it's how fast you heal, how quickly you learn something new, or how long it takes to find joy again. Your pace is your own. And there's quiet power in honoring it. We've opened the door with those first 2 phrases, the ones that ground us in worth and rhythm. We can keep going deeper into the heart of morning joy. Let's keep going, because once the mind begins to soften and the pace of the day feels like it belongs to you again, there's room for another voice to rise. A quieter one, the one that speaks of purpose. The third phrase to gently say to yourself each morning is this: someone needs my light today. That might sound small, but it's not. In fact, it could be the very thing that saves you from feeling invisible. Because after 60, it's far too easy to believe the world has already taken what it needed from you, that your best years of service and impact are behind you. But that's not the truth. Sometimes your light shows up in a phone call to a grandchild, or in the way you smile at a stranger in the grocery store. Maybe it's a few kind words, too, someone you barely know, or a calm voice in a family storm. Your light doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. And reminding yourself each morning that someone, somewhere, will be better because you're still here. That's powerful. Even if you don't see it right away, or if no one says thank you, it doesn't mean the light didn't shine. We don't always get to know who we've helped, but the act of shining anyway. That's where joy quietly lives. Now, take a deep breath with me and say this next one slowly. Today is a fresh page. Simple, yes, but maybe the most important. Because there are days when you wake up and still feel the sting of yesterday. The harsh words someone said, the ache of a memory that just won't let go, or even the frustration of your own thoughts, things you wish you'd done differently. We all carry pieces of our yesterdays, but we forget that we also carry the pen. Every morning gives us a brand new page, not because we've erased the past, but because we get to write beyond it. You're not trapped in a story that's already been written. You're the author. And no matter how old you are, or how long the chapters before have stretched, you can begin again. You can choose a softer word, a bolder action, a gentler pace. There's beauty in that. There's freedom, and maybe you don't know what to write yet. That's okay too. Maybe all today asks of you is to be open. Open to joy sneaking in when you least expect it, through the taste of your tea, or a laugh with an old friend, or just noticing how the light hits the window. Have to fill the page with fireworks. Just presence. You've already said to yourself, I'm still becoming. My pace is perfect. Someone needs my light, and today is a fresh page. Can you feel how those words begin to shift something inside you, like slowly? Turning the soil in a garden, even before you plant the seeds, you've already made space for something beautiful to grow, and there's more still to plant. There's something about mornings that holds quiet power. Not because everything is already perfect, but because the day hasn't told you who to be yet. That's your decision, and once you've reminded yourself that today is a fresh page, there's another sentence that deserves a gentle place in your morning. I deserve peace, even if I'm still healing. That might be one of the hardest truths to let settle in your bones, especially if you've carried grief for a long time, or if your body doesn't feel like the friend it once was, or if there are people you've loved who are no longer just a phone call away. After 60, healing doesn't always look like getting over something. It's often about learning to walk beside it. Slower, softer, but still forward. And in that quiet walk, you deserve peace. You don't have to wait until everything is fixed, until all your old regrets are resolved, until every answer is found. Peace isn't the prize at the end. It's a gift you get to claim now, even if your heart still aches. Even if your knees creak. Even if you wake up and feel a little lost. So in those first few moments of your day, before the kettle whistles, before the world starts pulling at you, place your hand over your chest and say it, not with demand, but with permission. I deserve peace. And then, maybe you start to feel it. A breath that's a little slower. A thought that's a little kinder. A moment that reminds you. Joy isn't something you chase. It's something you allow now. There's one more truth I want you to speak out loud, even if your voice shakes. There is still time for wonder. Let that linger for a second, because one of the saddest lies we're ever sold is that wonder belongs to the young, that after a certain age, all the firsts are behind us. That joy shrinks, curiosity fades, and everything worth feeling deeply has already passed. But that's just not true. There is still time to try something new, still time to be surprised by a sunrise, or to cry at a poem you've read 10 times before, still time to sit beside someone you love and share stories you've never dared speak out loud. Still time to say yes to what scares you and no to what no longer fits. You are not too old for goosebumps, or laughter that makes your sides ache, or moments that make you feel young, not in years, but in aliveness. Wonder doesn't check your birth certificate. It checks your willingness to notice the details, to taste the sweetness, to ask what if. Again, even if the world says why bother, that's where life opens back up. And when you tell yourself each morning, there is still time for wonder, you're not ignoring the hard parts, you're making space for the magic that still belongs to you. These words, these gentle truths you offer yourself before the day begins. They're more than affirmations. They're invitations. Invitations to live with softness, with strength, with joy. There's still one more thing to say before we close this sacred morning ritual. There's one phrase that lands gently at the end of this little morning ritual. A sentence that isn't flashy, but feels like a warm hand on your back. I will give today my best, and let that be enough. Because somewhere along the line, we were taught to measure days by how much we accomplished, how many errands we ran, how productive we were, how many things we crossed off a list. But what if you shifted that? What if the real measure of a day wasn't productivity, but presence? Giving your best doesn't mean exhausting yourself. It doesn't mean powering through pain or pretending you're fine. It means showing up as you are, with honesty, kindness, and care for others. Yes, but also for yourself. Some days your best might be calling a friend who's been on your mind. Other days, it might be taking a nap and drinking water. Both count. You're not here to win the day. You're here to live it. And when you start your morning with the permission to try, and let that trying be enough, you lift an invisible weight off your shoulders, because joy doesn't bloom in pressure. It blooms in grace. And speaking of grace, there's one last quiet phrase that completes this ritual, one that holds all the others together like threads in a tapestry. I am grateful for the gift of another day. It sounds simple, maybe even obvious, but the truth is, waking up isn't a guarantee. Every single sunrise is a new chance to connect, to reflect, to grow, to love, to simply be. This doesn't mean you have to leap out of bed singing hymns of praise. Gratitude doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes it's a silent nod to the sky, a deep breath, a hand over your heart as you whisper, "Thank you." Not for everything being perfect, but for having another shot at today, another cup of tea, another phone call, another smile across the street, another slow walk in the park, another opportunity to see yourself not as someone nearing the end, but as someone still unfolding. And maybe that's the most powerful truth of all. You're not done yet. There are still joys waiting to find you, still lessons that will soften you, still mornings that will greet you with possibility. So as you rise, speak these words to yourself, not like a checklist, but like small blessings. Let them seep into your bones. Let them remind you that every day after 60 can still hold magic, if you let it in. Now, before we close, let me say thank you. Thank you for being here, for listening, for choosing joy, even in the face of life's complexity. If this message lifted your heart even a little, I hope you'll tap that like button. It helps us reach others who may need these same words. Subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the bell so you never miss a story, a tip, or a bit of wisdom that could make your day brighter. And tell us in the comments, what's your favorite phrase to start the day with? Maybe your words will inspire someone else to find theirs. Here's to the next morning, and the one after that,